suspect continues. And in sports, Ohio soccer can clinch a MAC tournament berth on the last day of the regular season. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Newswatch. I'm Silver Barker. Right now, people are gathering at the Athens County Courthouse to show their support for Israel and Palestine. Joining us live from the demonstrations is Newswatch reporter Jack Green. Hey Jack, what's the latest?
Yeah, Silver. So the protest actually started about just 30 minutes ago, and as you can see behind me, I'm going to step out of the way here. That you can see there is a giant crowd that has formed. And there is supposed to be two groups tonight. That one of them left out a flyer showing solidarity for Israel. Now that group has not shown up to be seen tonight, but people here who are supporting Palestine say Hamas's actions are no justification for the genocide of Palestinian people, while people on the Israel side say hate and terror will not win. Athens police do have some kind of presence here tonight, making sure things don't get too rowdy. The protests come as Israel Defense Forces continue to fire rockets into Gaza and prepare for a potential ground invasion. Well, back here at home, officials are putting their support behind Israel, with President Biden asking Congress for a multi-billion-dollar military aid package. The U.S. is also trying to secure key humanitarian aid for people still in Gaza. Now it's unclear how the rest of tonight's protests will go, but as you can see, things are remaining peaceful. Reporting live from Athens, Ohio, I'm Jack Green.
Thanks, Jack. Right now in Gaza, the humanitarian crisis escalating as Israel's prime minister confirms preparations for a ground offensive targeting Hamas. The Palestinian Ministry of Health, run by Hamas, says nearly 7,000 Palestinians have been killed in recent Israeli airstrikes. Israeli says it continues to target Hamas after at least 1,400 Israelis were killed and more than 200 taken hostage in an unprecedented, brutal attack by Hamas militants October 7th. Laura Aguirre has the latest on the deepening conflict.
It's seeking out terrorist hiding positions that they could be trying to set up an ambush for our forces.
The Israel Defense Forces are calling their overnight tank raid into northern Gaza preparation for a larger military offensive. When that will happen, still unknown, as is the fate of more than 200 hostages, including Americans, still held by Hamas. Well over 1 million civilians are displaced. Many have little to no access to shelter, food, water, or medicine.
Assistance must be able to flow into Gaza. It means humanitarian pauses must be considered.
While the international community pressures Israel for a pause, its plans for a ground incursion are underway.
When we go into Gaza, in the continuation of the fighting, we will exact the full price from the murderers.
Humanitarian agencies are sounding the alarm about conditions in Gaza. A key issue, the lack of fuel, which Israel is blocking from entering Gaza over fears Hamas will use it to launch more attacks. The main UN agency in the area says it will have to halt operations within hours if fuel is not delivered.
We're being pushed to the brink. We are still hopeful that an urgent shipment of fuel does come in so that we're not forced to stop humanitarian services and assistance to people in need.
The world community really needs to pay attention to this. We have got to get in there so we can help these people so they don't die.
For Newswatch, I'm Laura Aguirre.
Israel says it restored water supply to Gaza this month, but Gaza water authorities say they're unable to verify because there's no electricity to run a pumping station. The United Nations says many civilians have resorted to drinking well water that's extremely high in salt and poses immediate health risk. Now, for a first look at local weather, Cam.
Thank you, Silver. And we had a gorgeous day today outside, and right now the temperature is going to be indicative of that. We had 75 degrees today. Pardon me, 75 degrees right now, and we saw temperatures even up to almost 80 degrees today. We have partly cloudy skies, and that's going to be because we have a low pressure system that's going to be moving into the region, and that is going to be causing an increase of cloud cover through the night. Winds right now are from the south at 7 miles per hour, still bringing up a little bit of warm air for us. Our barometer is at 30.15 inches of mercury. That's going to be falling as that low pressure system begins to approach the region. Tonight in Athens, we have a temperature of 59 degrees as clouds begin to gather into the region. Tomorrow's sunrise is going to be at 7:49 in the morning. And here's that system right now. It's going to be a huge pain in our necks for the coming weekend, which I know is a big one around here. I'm certainly not excited for it. And this big line of clouds right there is going to be a cold front. Going to cause things to get a little bit colder. I'll tell you how cold here in a little bit, but right now we'll take you back to Silver.
Thanks, Cam. Low-income Ohioans will be able to get help paying their energy bills this winter. White House Infrastructure Coordinator says more than $153 million will go to Ohio as part of the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LAHEAP. Coordinator Mitch Landrieu says the program had a big impact last year. The White House made the announcement last week saying the funding is part of a $3.7 billion for LAHEAP. The White House says the money will help Ohioans pay for heating costs as winter approaches. To find out if you're eligible for assistance, visit energyhelp.us. The White House says Ohio nurses declared code red earlier this year due to understaffing in hospitals. Now state lawmakers are looking to do something about it. House Bill 285, or the Workforce and Safe Patient Care Act, would lessen staffing ratios in hospitals, among other requirements. For nurses committing to 5 years of service, whether that's at bedside or in nurse education, post-graduation, the bill provides a $20 million loan-to-grant program. An ONA survey on nurses throughout Ohio from May to June reveals that 7 out of every 10 direct care nurses are considering leaving bedside nursing due to current conditions. However, 89% of direct care nurses say minimum staffing standards in Ohio would increase their likelihood of remaining in a direct care role. Former Republican State Representative Bob Young is found guilty of domestic violence charges over an incident this summer involving his wife. Young waived his right to a jury and instead left his fate in the hands of Judge Edward O'Farrell, who decided without a reasonable doubt that Young was guilty of causing physical harm to his wife. Tuesday, Young's wife testified that he struck her face, saying she's afraid of her husband. However, the Ohio judge found Young not guilty of assault against his brother in a later confrontation over striking his wife. Young still faces more charges after violating a protection order in August and alleged stalking last month. He'll be tried at a later date for those charges, but could enter a guilty plea. And is back to the drawing board once again for the group trying to change the process for drawing district maps. And it's all because of a typo. The amendment from the group Citizens Not Politicians will create a 15-member commission to draw congressional and legislative maps. Currently, maps are approved by the Republican-dominated Ohio Redistricting Commission, but a date listed in the amendment is incorrect. Spokesperson Chris Davies says they notified Attorney General Dave Yost and will submit new language soon. But it delays the start of gathering more than 413,000 signatures till after Election Day, which is often used by groups trying to get to registered voters. The deadline for those signatures is July. The city of Athens is prepping for Halloween weekend. Thousands of people usually flock to Uptown Athens for the annual block party on Saturday. The Athens Police Department confirms there will be increased law enforcement presence in the city through the weekend. Athens Fire Department will also go on inspection rounds to make sure bars don't go over maximum capacity. And due to the potential large number of visitors coming to Ohio University's Athens campus this weekend, transportation and parking services will implement more parking restrictions. Vehicles parked in campus parking lots without a valid permit could face a fine. Fatal accidents spike on certain holidays in Ohio. According to a new study from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, over the last 15 years, holidays have typically seen an increase in fatal crashes. Up first is Thanksgiving, with the biggest spike, 246% of fatal crashes on Ohio roadways. Christmas Day is the next highest in terms of a rise in fatal crashes, followed by Labor Day and then Memorial Day. Still ahead, an intensive manhunt in Maine right now with an armed mass shooter suspect at large. And in just 12 hours, Hurricane Otis picked up extreme force. Now parts of Mexico are feeling the devastation.
And a little closer to home, say it ain't snow. We have snow in our forecast for the first time this year. We'll tell you about that and more on Newswatch later after the break.
Did you follow me to my house? Look, I wouldn't normally do this, but what if your daughter never got to meet your son? You should go to Long Pine Reserve. I'm looking for any public record to help me find my sister.
I didn't know Dora had a sister.
Do you have any sense of where she might be?
I can't keep track of her.
I've been looking for you.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Spiritually, mentally, physically, just do your best. Never give up. Our people never gave up.
I'm building my own path and making a new path for other women.
When tribes are saying, let's get together, you do what you need to do for your people. We're more powerful together.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
It was a moment of madness.
It was the sanest thing I've ever done.
You have only known him a week.
Looks like paradise. I'll never stop loving you.
Who I am or who I was.
Call me Annika.
It looks like you put up a fight.
I always get to the truth.
You can no longer sit by and say, this isn't my problem.
What?
On Finding Your Roots, Jim Acosta.
Your preconceived notions of where you came from, who you are, doesn't mean squat.
And Van Jones.
I knew that my dad's side of the family had a rougher path.
Finding a founding family in Cuba.
I wonder if they even know. I'm sure they don't know.
And a DNA match.
You would never guess in a million years. That's nuts!
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Right now, a mass shooting suspect is at large in Maine. An urgent and extensive manhunt is underway for the suspect, who authorities say opened fire in 2 locations, killing at least 18 people and injuring more than a dozen. Mike Valerio is in Lewiston with the latest.
I suggest that you go. We have an active shooter, and we're not sure where he's at.
A tight-knit community on edge. A shelter-in-place ordered in multiple towns in Maine as heavily armed officers search for what they say is an armed and dangerous killer.
There is now arrest warrants for murder for this particular individual, Mr. Card. So he is viewed as a suspect, and there is a full court press by all of our partners to bring him into custody.
Police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Chilling surveillance images released show the moments the mass shooting suspect's deadly rampage began. First at a local bowling alley hosting a youth night for a kids' bowling league, and then traveling about 4 miles to the second scene at a restaurant.
Place to go have a good time and have fun. And then we get somebody that's crazy like that walk in and do what they did, you know.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Like, why do people do this?
According to law enforcement, the suspect, 40-year-old Rob Card, is a military-trained arms instructor who suffers from several mental health issues, including hearing voices, and made threats to shoot up a National Guard base. He'd been committed to a mental health facility over the summer.
Nerves are rattled right now.
In Lewiston, Maine, for Newswatch, I'm Mike Valerio.
Just yesterday, the Senate approved an amendment that would make it easier for veterans with mental illness to bypass background checks when buying weapons. It's a sign of how little appetite there is for any gun control legislation in Congress. Moments before the massacre in Maine unfolded, 3 Democrats joined Republicans in supporting the amendment, as did independent Senators Kristen Sinema and Angus King, who is the former governor of Maine. The measure is attached to a package of annual spending bills that hasn't passed the Senate yet, but could next week. At least 27 people are dead and 4 others are missing after Hurricane Otis picked up force extremely quickly, slamming Mexico's Pacific coast. Behind me, you can see the aftermath of that devastation in Acapulco today. In just 12 hours, it went from a tropical storm to an extremely dangerous Category 5 hurricane. You're looking at the harrowing moments leading up to Hurricane Otis hitting one family's house in the resort town. Intense gusts of rain and wind left this family ducking for safety. It's the strongest storm on record to hit the country's Pacific coast. Newswatch forecaster Cam Kuzno joins us again with how these conditions may affect us in our region.
And thank you, Silver. And while it's an absolute tragedy what happened in Acapulco, we're going to see some effects from the storm here in the southeast Ohio region. What's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of that really, really moist, warm air come up from the Gulf of Mexico and be brought into our region. And that's going to cause some clouds, and that's also going to be fueling this low pressure system that's going to cause the weather to be not what we would like to see this weekend. Our low pressure system here is going to be forming across Michigan right now, and we have a really big cold front and line of storms that's going to be making its way into the region. That's going to spoil the nice, beautiful weather we had today. And we're going to see the effects of this right now across the central part of the United States. We see rain in Kansas City, we see rain in Louisville, we see rain in Memphis. That same system's going to be making its way into the region slowly by tomorrow. Then you can see these chilly temperatures behind it, 12 degrees in Rapid City. Oklahoma City, usually really warm this time of year, all the way down to 56 degrees. I know I'm not going to be excited for that, and I know anybody planning on being out this Halloween weekend isn't going to be excited for that. Tonight, though, we're still in the clear. It's going to be 59 degrees tonight. See sunset at 6:36, and it'll be mostly cloudy as clouds begin to gather as that low pressure system starts to make its way into the region. Tomorrow morning will be 7:49. And that will be our sunrise. 20% chance of showers tomorrow. That low pressure system is going to cause that. That'll be a chance a little bit more for the afternoon into the early evening rather than during the morning. So any sort of morning commute or plans you have during the day should still be safe. We'll see another warm day today too, 78 degrees, and we'll see a low of 60. That'll begin to drop. Across the nation right now, the effects of this system is going to be a little odd for us. Over in Dallas, Memphis, we have 82-degree temperatures, and we just saw we're expecting almost 78 degrees in Athens. Those are very similar temperatures to parts of Texas that should be way warmer than us, but showing how strong that system is, bringing that really warm Gulf air into our region, and that's why we're going to see that. But it won't last too terribly long, so if you're a fan of cold weather, don't worry about it. Here's our problem, cold front right here. That's going to push its way into the region. That is cold, chilly Arctic air, and that's going to take our high pressure system that's been bringing the beautiful, beautiful weather to us out of the region slowly but surely. So enjoy your day tomorrow if you plan on being outside, because we are not going to see weather like that anytime soon. Then by Saturday, that low cold front is going to hit us, and we are going to see a steep decline in temperature, cloudy skies, and a chance at rain. Over the weekend, it's a big weekend for us here in Athens with a 20% chance of showers on Friday, the high of 78, which we will likely not see again this year. Then by Saturday, here's our arrival of our system, a 50% chance of showers, low all the way down to 57. And then by Sunday, high of 69 and a 70% chance of rain showers. It's not going to be pleasant for anyone. And looking forward, Monday, those conditions are going to persist and be even colder. And then Tuesday, that's right, we have snow in our forecast as our low temperature is going to drop all the way down to 27 degrees. And then by Wednesday, Thursday, we'll hopefully see another high pressure system begin to build into the region. Temperatures will begin to warm up for us just a little bit, and then it's going to make for some nicer weather. And I know the weather is going to be poor this Halloween weekend, but that doesn't mean you have to be too. We're going to take you back to the desk with Silver to tell us how you can save some money this Halloween. Silver?
Thanks, Cam. Fingers crossed that rain doesn't come in, but because more Americans than ever are celebrating Halloween this year and spending a record-breaking amount of money on spooky holiday. According to an annual survey from the National Retail Federation, total Halloween spending is expected to reach a record $12.2 billion this year. Some tips to celebrate without scaring your budget. First, make a budget and stick to it. The NRF survey reports the average consumer plans to spend over $100, with the biggest increase in spending from costumes. As for candy, don't wait until the last minute to stock up and avoid impulsive buys right off the shelf. And if you're hosting a Halloween party and looking to save some money, make it a potluck.
Next in sports, Ohio soccer keeps their playoff hopes alive. And for the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
In a New York City nursing home, a group of Black and brown artists with disabilities fight COVID and the city to protect the lives of its residents.
Corona, you have me confused and confined.
Fire through dry grass on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
Why do we need to talk about race in medicine?
Why talk about race?
That's a great question.
Not knowing where to start, we often choose inaction.
But we know this has to change.
It is important to call it out.
We need everyone's perspective to come together.
We turn to our friends and colleagues and ask them to tell us their stories.
This show is an invitation to settle in and listen.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
Hidden deep beneath the Cumberland Mountains in Grundy County, Tennessee, lies one of the world's most magical musical adventures, the Cavern Sessions. 3 million years in the making, Pure Acoustics offer music from the heart of the American experience, center stage and deep inside the mountain. This time welcoming Lil Smokies. It's deep down musical diversity at the Cavern Sessions.
Friday at 11 on WOUB.
Straight into trouble. Way down deep, you're just a shadow as me. Had a change of heart. Had a change of heart. Sometimes the road is the best remedy. How many more miles to Yosemite?
Saturday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Dylan Westmeyer. Ohio soccer took on Akron at Chesa Field this afternoon. The Bobcats needed a win to keep their playoff hopes alive, but it was not a win-and-you're-in situation, though, for the Bobcats, as they needed both Toledo and Buffalo to lose. Ohio showed out, beating Akron 3-0, scoring in the 43rd, 76th, and 82nd minutes. The win moves the Bobcats to 4-4-3 in conference play, and they hold the tiebreaker over Buffalo. Toledo ended up falling to Western Michigan 3-1, and Kent State beat Buffalo 2-1. The Bobcats will now travel to Ball State to take on the Cardinals on Sunday. And in high school volleyball, the playoffs are in full swing. The Trimble Tomcats took on the Southern Tornadoes in the district semifinals. The Tornadoes won the first set with a score of 25-12. The Tomcats, however, came back in the second set to make it 1 set all, but Southern won the third and fourth sets, both with a score of 25-18 to knock out Trimble and advance to the district final. Sticking with volleyball, the Nelsonville York Buckeyes continue their playoff run. The Buckeyes have yet to drop a set in the playoffs, taking down the 22nd seeded Piketon and 10 seeded North Adams. NY will face their toughest test yet in the 4 seed Southeastern in the district finals. The Panthers have only dropped 1 set in their playoff run, taking down 21 seeded Portsmouth and 9 seeded Huntington. To stay up to date with volleyball playoffs, check out Ace Nation on the WOUB website and social media. Heading back on the road, Ohio volleyball takes on 2 conference opponents this weekend. The Bobcats first travel to face off against Toledo on Friday. Ohio has sole possession of second place in the MAC East with a 7-4 conference record. Toledo sits in third place in the MAC West with an 8-3 conference record. 22 hours later, the Bobcats will travel into Indiana to take on Ball State. The Cardinals are in second place in the MAC West with a 9-2 conference record. If the Bobcats are able to take both matchups, they would finish the season against MAC opponents with a cumulative conference record of 5-28. To catch all the action, tune into ESPN Plus at 6 p.m. on Friday and 4 p.m. on Saturday. Moving over to the gridiron, Ohio football hosts Miami in the Battle of the Bricks this Saturday. The Bobcats are coming off a 20-17 win over Western Michigan last week. Ohio is in a 3-way tie atop the conference with Miami and Buffalo, with all their records sitting at 3-1. If the Bobcats want another chance at the MAC title this year, they will need to defend Frank Solich Field and take down Miami. Coach Tim Albin spoke on the difficulty of the Miami defense.
Their defense is first or second in every category. That they pride themselves in stopping the run. They're only giving up, less than, I think in MAC games, they're only giving up like 11 points a game, and they're under 15 for the season.
Kickoff is set for 3:30 p.m. in Pedon Stadium.
My question when I was listening to that, why is it called Battle of the Bricks?
I'm going to be honest, I really don't know. I've personally never been to Miami, so I don't understand the Battle of the Bricks rivalry, but I'm guessing that they also have bricks at their college, but it's obviously the biggest rivalry for us as an OU team. I know Akron and Kent is also a big rivalry, but yeah, OU Miami, it's always big here at OU.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll definitely make sure to be around. Coming up, coming up, Domino's Pizza is... Coming up next, make sure to stay tuned to find out how Domino Pizza for student loans.
On
on Masterpiece.
British lads, took the road to Benghazi with no more trouble than...
Welcome to the British Indian Army.
There's wounded coming in from Libya.
Every time I survive, they give me a more dangerous job.
It's nothing to do with choice, or love, for that matter.
What if I were to recruit you to work for me?
To do what?
To fight, of course.
World on Fire on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
Remember, first impressions.
This just is the beginning to a change in fortunes.
I'm awake. I feel like I've opened my eyes. The world is changing.
I think we should take it to the next level.
I thought that was rather jolly. So much fun.
You make a good team.
And what will you tell the child when they ask where their dad is?
There's a war. I'll tell them you're dead.
If we can find him, we'll get him.
I'm here to make sure justice gets done.
I really love you more than anything.
It's really loud.
Shall we?
Fortune favors the bold.
It feels more like the start of something than the end.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
I thought only Bond villains have aquariums in the basement.
Fabian Hyde, billionaire green tech entrepreneur.
I thought you were taking 2 weeks.
I'm finding it hard to be at home.
Right.
Does Morgan want to know?
When she does, she'll ask me.
That could be years.
What happened?
We're under attack from protesters. Go, go, go!
Annika on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday at 10 on WOUB.
Our final story tonight, people might be feeling the pinch now that student loan repayments have resumed. To help out, Domino's is giving away $1 million worth of emergency pizza. Each day, the chain is offering 4,200 codes for a free medium 2-topping pizza. That will continue until it reaches $1 million. Codes must be redeemed by December 10th. Customers can apply at domino's.com/student/loans.
All right, we'll take one last look at the weather here for us tonight. 59 degrees tonight is the low as we're going to see clouds begin to gather as that low pressure system makes its way into the region and spoils a little bit of our fun. Take a note of the sunset time too, 6:36 p.m. We'll have a daylight savings time change here in a little bit though. That's going to make it even earlier on us, so enjoy your evening hours of daylight while you still can. There's that big cold front barreling its way towards our region, southeast Ohio. It's going to drop temperatures for us and it won't be fun at all. 20% chance of showers tomorrow with a high of 78, so enjoy that likely will be the last temperature above 75 degrees this year. Low temperature of 60 degrees for anyone who's planning on being out in the evening hours. And through the 7-day outlook, we'll see that chance of rain, and then hopefully we'll get a little bit of a chance at some sun as a high pressure system begins to build. And that's all I've got for our weather. Silver?
All right, well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Cam Kuzno and Dylan Westmeyer, I'm Silver Barker. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. We leave you with a live look in Athens outside College Green. Have a great night.
The Cartober fundraising drive is on. Help get back this month by